Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson again, and we are going to continue our studies talking about absolute value equations. Absolute value equations are equations, problems with equal sign that is, with an absolute value symbol, such as absolute value of 2p plus 5 equal 11. The rule you should note to solve an equation in the form of absolute value of a equal to b, where a represents the variable expression and b greater than 0, which means it's positive. Solve a equal b and a equal negative b. So let's take a look at what they're talking about. Here we have an example. Absolute value of 2p plus 5 equals 11. So we're going to write two equations. Here is our absolute value of this stuff. We're going to make one equation equal to positive 11 and write the other equation equal to negative 11. So it's important to note that, notice this is inside the absolute value, and what we want to do is isolate the absolute value and get that by itself. So sometimes you might see stuff on the outside that you might want to move around. So, but this is all in the inside, so we can now solve it for the letter P. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. From this side, 11 minus 5 gives us 6. The 5's cancel out. I have 2p is equal to 6 divided by 2. P is equal to 3. So that would be one of my answers. Let's go to this equation where we have it set to negative 11. So let's subtract 5 from both sides. 11 minus 5 would be negative 16, because you add the opposite of the 5, which is adding negative 5 to 11, which gives you a negative 16, and divide by 2. P is equal to negative 8. So we're saying the answers are 3 or negative 8. Well, let's check that to be sure if it's correct. So the first equation, we're going to go back to our absolute value symbol and replace it with 3. 2 times 3 plus 5 equals 11. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 5 is 11, and the absolute value of 11 is 11, so it does check out. Let's try the other side, where 2 times an absolute value symbol, 2 times negative 8 plus 5. We have 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, plus 5. We have to subtract them, choose the sign of the 16 because it is bigger. 16 minus 5 is 11, and choose the sign of 16, which is negative, so the absolute value of negative 11 is in there, and if we take that, that'll give us positive 11, so it does check out. So these answers are correct. So, good question. So solve and check, identify the negative value. Alright, so let's notice these terms are inside of the absolute value, so it's equal to 6. So let's go ahead and set it equal to 2 different types of problems. One being positive and the other being negative. Alright, so remember the reason why we set it, because absolute value is the distance from 0, and a distance could be a negative distance or a positive distance. That's why we have one negative and one positive answer. So let's solve it by adding 2 to both sides, and C equals 8. These canceled out. So we have one answer over here. So let's look at the other side. Let's add 2 to this side, which will cancel the 2's. Add 2 to this side, but we cannot add them because the signs are different. So since the signs are different, we have to subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. And we're going to choose the sign of the 6 because it's a larger digit than the 2. So our answer is going to be C is equal to negative 4. And they said choose the negative value. So our negative value will be negative 4 in this problem. Now, it said check. So let's check this to see if this is right. So let's go back to this problem. Absolute value of 8 minus 2 should equal to 6. Well, let's see, 8 minus 2 that equals 6, and put that in absolute value, so that it should equal 6, and the absolute value of 6 is 6, so it does check out when C is equal to 8. So that does check. Let's check the other one. When C is equal to -4, so again, the absolute value of -4 minus 2, that should equal to 6. Well, again, you cannot add these two numbers because you're supposed to change this to addition. Change the 2 to its opposite. Opposite of 2 is -2. And so we have absolute value of -4 plus -2, and the absolute value should equal 6. The absolute value of -4 plus -4 plus 2, and these are the same signs, so that would give me a -6 inside of all that. And that's starting to look like the other one we did, and we have the absolute value of 6 is equal to 6, so it does check out. So this one checks out as well. So nice check. So our answer was -4, which is what they're looking for, but both answers were 8 and -4. So we solved and checked that. Well, I hope you understood that. Check your understanding. If you understand it so far, you're in good shape. But if you don't, rewatch the video, write down your questions, bring them in, and we'll be glad to answer them in class. Here's a question for you. Solve and check for the positive value of P. Now this one, notice there is a number outside of the absolute value symbol. So we had to deal with one inside, but this time it's outside. So how do we deal with that? Well, let's first try to get this set up in a better way that we're used to seeing it. And -4 equals 16. So let's work on it a little bit. Let's try to get the absolute value isolated. That would be our first thing. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. So what that does is it isolates the absolute value a little bit, getting rid of the 4. We still have absolute value of 5 times P, but that'll equal to 20. So that's a lot better. And now let me even isolate the absolute value more by dividing by 5. So now I don't have that 5 over there, so I can get rid of him. I'll just have the absolute value of the inside, which is P, equal to 4. And now we remember, all we have to do is set one of these terms equal to positive and the other one equal to negative. And I say those are the answers. But we better check it. So let's check it. Let's go back to the top of the question. 16 equals 5. Absolute value of, what do we have? 4. And we got a minus 4. All right, let's do it. So this will be absolute value of 4 is 4. 5 times 4 minus 4, and this should be equal to 16. 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 minus 4 is 16, so that does check out. So 16 equals 16. So we just used the value of P, which was positive 4, for our answer. So 4 will work, but let's check that negative one also. So let's try P equal to -4. So 16 equals 5, absolute value minus 4. And I'm going to put in place of here -4. So drop the absolute value by getting rid of the negative sign. That'll be 5 times 4 and minus 4. This looks like what we just did a second ago. which is the same thing we did a second ago right here. So this does check out. So 16 equals 20 minus 4, which is 16. So it does work if it's negative 4 or positive 4. So this checked out nicely. This was a nice problem. So if you got 4 and negative 4, but they were looking for the positive value, so the positive value is 4. Nice question. So check your understanding. Here's an interesting question that I think you'll like. So let me see what you got on this one. Solve it and check it. Be interested in what you got. That way I'll know you understand it. If not, bring in your questions and we'll talk about it in class tomorrow. So here's another question. Solve for the positive value of x, and you got two absolute values there. So how do you do it? I would recommend same process as we did before, by isolating your absolute values and doing like you did the same before. So hopefully you'll get this equation, x plus 6 equals 2x minus 3, and you'll get a negative version of that same equation, x plus 6 equals negative that same equation, negative 2x minus 3. So hopefully we met our objective. Check us out on YouTube, PKMS Math Prep 17, very good video to watch. Check it out. My channel name is Dan Robinson. Tweet us at drobmath1, and I'll be glad to speak with you on Twitter. So I hope you got something out of it. My name again is Dan Robinson. Hope to see you in class soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.